So this is my PRI Royal Scintillator. I don't know how well you can see that. I'm using my new camera tripod for my cell phone. So you might remember some of you might remember this had quite a little adventure in shipping, and we actually thought it was lost. It disappeared for a couple of months until somebody finally found it. Miraculously, it arrived in perfect condition. I'm not actually sure how that happened, but it's here and it's safe. So this is a PRI Royal Scintillator in working condition. And this is kind of neat. It has what they're calling a scaler. Now, the scaler is actually more of a timer. And what it does is it counts for 1 minute, and then you read the meter. And the meter is kind of interesting because it has 3 scales. It has 1, 0.25, and 0.05. Now, I don't know how well this is, you can see this. The dial has 1, 0.25, and 0.1. And then has the 0.05, 0.25, and 0.01. It's not the most intuitive setup. 0.025 and 0.01. What I think is going on here is that you move the decimal point for the lower scales. So the 1.25 and 0.05 you read directly off of the scale. The 0.1 you would move the decimal point over 1. Same with the 0.05, 0.01. So it has its own little check source in here. I'm not sure, this 0.110 it's marked. I'm not sure what actually is in here. But there it is on the 0.1 setting. Now, the scaler has a little needle. It counts for a minute and it moves the needle. So here it says set to 1 second when you're using the scaler. So let me see if I can remember how to do this. Scaler is off, 0, and then I turn it to read, and it should count. Now it counts for 1 minute, the needle moves for 1 minute, and then you're supposed to read it directly off the counter. So while we're waiting for that, I've taken the screws out already. I'll show you what's inside in a minute. This counter was actually restored by someone called Goshi. A lot of you know who he is. I didn't get into the online science scene until after he was already gone, so I don't know much about him. But you'll see inside that he has put little power supplies in there, which eliminate some of the batteries, because this thing had a lot of batteries. There we go. The needle moved, and then you read directly off the counter. So we're at 1, and it looks like we're at about 0.1, somewhere in there. So that's how the scaler works. And then of course you 0 it and you could read it again. So I'm going to turn this off and I'm going to show you what's inside. So it's a little tricky. I'm going to try to show you what's inside now. I've got cables here that are not conducive to opening this up. There we go. So underneath here are Goshi's supplies, As you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 batteries. Originally, there were 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 D cells, and I think some other kind of batteries in here. And if we just pull this wing nut off, you can see the, whoops, you can see the supplies in there. You put 2 little Precision 118. Oh, there's his email address. Oops, there's a loose diamond there. So, fun fact, the original battery clips actually are meant for batteries that are not shaped like the ends on modern batteries. So, I have dimes shoved into the battery clips on some of them. I don't know if you can see that. But that's so that they make contact with the modern batteries. Sometimes with these old machines, you got to get a little creative. Back on there. I think I did that one, maybe. So in here, I believe, well, maybe I can't get this open. No, I'm not going to get that open. I don't remember what was originally in that box or what is in that box. I believe these are oil-filled capacitors. So, a lot of the electronics are actually inside the probe, and that's why it's so big. This, these little tiny tubes in here. And this is the scintillation crystal. Now, there's a bit of a mystery when it comes to Goshi's scintillation crystals. He claims to apparently have sealed them in some way, that they're in some special new way, and nobody wants to take them apart to find out what he did. I am no exception. I am not going to take the scintillation crystal apart. If I ever, for whatever reason, have to replace the PMT or have to replace the crystal, I'll update everybody on what's actually in there. There is some tin foil or something down in there. It looks like tin foil. I don't know if that's original or not. It looks like, you know, just old rubber electrical tape. I don't know how old. But I'm not going to take that apart, because if I do take it apart, there's a really good chance I'm going to destroy it, and I don't want to do that. So on the board here, we have a lot of these little tubes, little tiny baby tubes. I believe they were used in military applications. A little tiny actually a couple of little tiny transformers. There's a big circuit board, all fitting inside that probe, and that's why the probe is so much bigger than most scintillation detector probes. So I haven't had to work on this yet, but if I do, that's where a lot of the electronics are. And then of course there's an O-ring on here to seal this, and this just fits back together. So that is the PRI Royal Scintillator, and it comes in this nice case. The whole thing probably weighs about, I don't know, 30 pounds. It's a nice heavy unit, and I'm really glad to have one in working condition. I think it's awesome. Thanks for watching.